You'd think that working on a comedy set would keep egos in check, but some sitcom stars took their success as a license to treat everyone around them like extras in their personal drama. From demanding script rewrites that destroyed ensemble chemistry to refusing to shoot scenes with castmates they deemed beneath them, these actors turned their workplaces into toxic nightmares. What makes these stories especially fascinating is how their behavior often directly contributed to shows getting canceled, careers imploding, or entire casts turning against them. Here are 15 shocking stories about the most arrogant sitcom actors who let fame poison their judgment. Charlie Sheen's $8 Million Meltdown. Charlie Sheen's behavior on 2.5 Men became the stuff of Hollywood legend, but the full scope of his arrogance went far beyond the public meltdowns. According to multiple crew members, Sheen routinely showed up hours late to set, kept hundreds of people waiting without apology, and openly mocked the show's creator Chuck Lorre during filming breaks. When he became the highest-paid actor on television at $8 million per episode, sources indicate his sense of entitlement reached new heights. He reportedly demanded that certain crew members be fired simply because he didn't like them, and insisted on script changes that served only his character at the expense of the ensemble. Cast members later described walking on eggshells around him, never knowing if they'd encounter the charming professional or the volatile egomaniac. The most telling detail came from production insiders who claimed Sheen believed the show couldn't survive without him, which made his eventual firing and the show's continued success for 4 more seasons especially ironic. His public tirades calling Lorre a clown and claiming he had tiger blood weren't just media soundbites, but extensions of behavior that had poisoned the set for years. Katherine Heigl's Grey's Anatomy. In gratitude, Katherine Heigl's conduct during her time on Grey's Anatomy revealed an actor who seemed determined to bite every hand that fed her. After the show made her a household name and earned her an Emmy, Heigl withdrew her name from Emmy consideration the following year, publicly stating the writers hadn't given her good enough material. This wasn't a private conversation with producers, but a public declaration that humiliated the show's creator, Shonda Rhimes, and the entire writing staff. Cast members later recalled that Heigl would openly complain about script quality during table reads, creating awkward tension among actors who were grateful for their roles. According to production sources, she routinely dismissed 16-hour shooting days as cruel and mean, despite this being standard for hour-long dramas, which suggested she considered herself above the working conditions her castmates accepted. The situation deteriorated further when she demanded a release from her contract, essentially forcing the show to write out her character, Izzy Stevens. What made her behavior particularly galling to industry insiders was the transparent pattern of publicly undermining projects while simultaneously benefiting from them. Rhimes later wrote a character in a different show who was widely understood to be inspired by Heigl, described as an actress who bites the hand that feeds her, which the creator confirmed was intentional. Chevy Chase's Community Catastrophe. Chevy Chase's time on Community stands as a masterclass in how a legendary comedian can torch his own legacy through sheer arrogance. From the beginning, Chase made it clear he considered the role of Pierce Hawthorne beneath him, frequently telling cast and crew that he was a movie star doing TV. According to people present on set, he would leave in the middle of scenes without explanation, refuse to perform physical comedy he deemed undignified, and constantly push back against creator Dan Harmon's vision for the character. The situation escalated when Chase left an angry voicemail for Harmon filled with insults, which Harmon then played at a community rap party in front of the cast and crew. Castmates later described Chase as dismissive of the younger actors, particularly Donald Glover, with tensions culminating in an incident where Chase reportedly used a racial slur during an argument about a script. What's particularly striking is that Chase seemed unable to recognize that Community represented a creative renaissance that could have introduced him to a new generation, instead treating it as a step down from his Saturday Night Live and film career. His eventual departure from the show was reportedly met with relief from the entire production, with cast members openly discussing how much more pleasant filming became without him. Shannon Doherty's repeated pattern. Shannon Doherty earned a reputation that followed her across multiple sitcoms, suggesting a consistent pattern rather than isolated incidents. During her time on Beverly Hills 90210, cast members later revealed that Doherty's behavior created constant friction, with reports of her arriving late, feuding with co-star Jenny Garth, and allegedly receiving special treatment that bred resentment. Producer Aaron Spelling, who had discovered Doherty and championed her career, eventually made the difficult decision to fire her from the show. What's remarkable is that this didn't serve as a wake-up call. When she joined Charmed, the pattern repeated itself almost identically. According to Alyssa Milano and other cast members, Doherty's conduct created such a toxic environment that producers faced an ultimatum situation. Milano later stated that she and Holly Marie Combs went to producer Jonathan Levin with concerns that the show couldn't continue with the existing dynamic. Rather than fighting for Doherty, Spelling once again made the decision to let her go, writing her character out of the series. The fact that the same legendary producer fired her from 2 different hit shows speaks volumes about behavior that went beyond typical on-set disagreements. Roseanne Barr's dictatorial control. Roseanne Barr's behavior on her self-titled show revealed an actor who wielded creative control like a weapon, creating an environment where dissent meant termination. While Barr deserves credit for fighting for creative vision in an era when networks heavily controlled sitcoms, accounts from writers and cast members suggest she crossed into tyrannical territory. According to multiple sources, Barr would fire writers with shocking regularity, sometimes going through entire writing teams within a season. Tom Werner, one of the show's producers, later described the experience as unlike anything else in television, with Barr's demands and outbursts creating constant chaos. The situation became so notorious that writer Joss Whedon, who worked briefly on the show, said the experience nearly made him quit television entirely. Cast members walked a constant tightrope, knowing that any perceived slight could result in reduced screen time or worse. When John Goodman suggested a storyline idea Barr didn't like, she reportedly didn't speak to him for weeks, despite them sharing most of their scenes. The most telling aspect of Barr's behavior was that it continued for 9 seasons, suggesting that her ratings success essentially insulated her from consequences that would have ended other actors' shows. Charlie Harper's real-life twin. The irony of Charlie Sheen playing a character named Charlie Harper, a hedonistic jingle writer with substance issues and an inflated ego, wasn't lost on anyone working on 2.5 Men. But according to crew members, the reality proved even stranger than the fiction, with Sheen reportedly believing his real-life behavior added authenticity to the role, which he used as justification for increasingly erratic conduct. Production sources claim that during later seasons, Sheen would arrive to set under the influence and treat it as character research rather than a problem. He allegedly told writers to incorporate his real-life escapades into storylines, blurring the line between Charlie Sheen and Charlie Harper in ways that made cast members uncomfortable. John Cryer, his co-star, later wrote in his memoir about the surreal experience of watching Sheen spiral while continuing to demand creative control and the highest salary in television. The situation reached its breaking point when Sheen began publicly attacking creator Chuck Lorre using internet videos and radio interviews, apparently believing his star power made him untouchable. When CBS and Warner Brothers finally fired him, Sheen responded with lawsuits and continued public attacks, seemingly unable to comprehend that his behavior, rather than some conspiracy, had caused his downfall. Cybill Shepherd's moonlighting madness. Cybill Shepherd's conduct during moonlighting contributed to the premature end of one of television's most innovative shows. According to cast and crew, Shepherd's pregnancy became a flashpoint for behavior that had already been testing everyone's patience. She reportedly insisted on reduced hours that made shooting the show's complex dialogue and blocking nearly impossible, while co-star Bruce Willis maintained the grinding schedule. Production sources claimed that Shepherd would refuse to shoot scenes she felt didn't showcase her character favorably, leading to expensive script rewrites and delays. Creator Glenn Gordon Caron later described the experience as exhausting, with Shepherd's demands creating a domino effect that threw off the show's entire production schedule. The real tension, according to people on set, came from the stark contrast between Shepherd's attitude and Willis's work ethic, with Willis arriving early and staying late, while Shepherd negotiated her commitments downward. When the show's ratings began to slide, partially due to inconsistent episode delivery caused by production delays, Shepherd reportedly blamed the writers rather than acknowledging how her inflexibility had hamstrung the creative process. David Caruso's NYPD Blue exit strategy. David Caruso's departure from NYPD Blue after just one season became a cautionary tale about letting early success destroy judgment. The show made Caruso an overnight star, and according to producer Stephen Bachko, Caruso's behavior changed almost immediately. Sources indicate that Caruso began demanding movie star treatment, insisting on separate transportation, refusing to socialize with cast members he'd previously been friendly with, and pushing for storylines that centered entirely on his character at the expense of the ensemble. When contract negotiations began, Caruso's representatives reportedly demanded a salary increase that would have made him the highest-paid actor in television drama, despite being a relative unknown before the show. Bachko later stated that Caruso believed his success was solely due to his talent, rather than the show's writing, production values, and ensemble cast. The actor's decision to leave for a film career proved spectacularly misguided, with his movies flopping and his television opportunities drying up for years. Cast member Dennis Franz, who took over as the show's lead, later commented that Caruso's departure actually improved the show's chemistry, allowing for more ensemble-focused storytelling. Suzanne Somers' Three's Company. Ultimatum. Suzanne Somers' contract dispute on Three's Company went beyond typical salary negotiations into territory that revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of ensemble television. After the show became a massive hit, Somers demanded a salary increase from $30,000 to $150,000 per episode, along with a percentage of the show's profits. While asking for fair compensation is reasonable, according to producers, the way Somers handled the situation demonstrated arrogance that destroyed relationships. She reportedly refused to shoot scenes with her co-stars during negotiations, appearing only in brief segments filmed separately, which cast members found insulting and unprofessional. John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt later described feeling abandoned by someone they considered a friend, with the situation creating an awkward dynamic that bled into the show's final episodes with Somers. What made the situation particularly tone-deaf, according to industry observers, was Somers' apparent belief that she alone drove the show's success, ignoring that Three's Company worked because of chemistry between all three leads. Producers ultimately fired her, and the show continued successfully for several more seasons, which suggested Somers had overestimated her irreplaceability. Thomas Gibson's Criminal Minds violence. Thomas Gibson's firing from Criminal Minds after 12 seasons revealed how arrogance can manifest as physical aggression when authority is questioned. According to reports, Gibson had a history of on-set conflicts and had been previously suspended for allegedly kicking a writer. But the behavior that ended his tenure involved striking a producer during a disagreement about a scene. Sources close to the production indicated that Gibson had become increasingly difficult over the years, believing his status as the show's original lead gave him authority over creative decisions. When writer and producer Virgil Williams offered direction Gibson disagreed with, the actor reportedly became physical, leading to his immediate suspension and eventual termination. Cast members maintained diplomatic silence publicly, but industry insiders noted that no one from the show came to Gibson's defense, which spoke volumes about the working environment. What's particularly striking is that Gibson issued an apology that seemed to minimize his actions, expressing regret if he had caused any harm, rather than taking full accountability. The incident demonstrated how unchecked ego can transform professional disagreements into career-ending moments. Topher Grace's That 70s Show departure. Topher Grace's decision to leave That 70s Show before its final season and his reported attitude about the decision left a sour taste that contrasted with his nice guy image. According to cast members, Grace made it clear he considered the show a stepping stone to a film career and expressed frustration about being tied to what he privately called a sitcom. When he announced his departure, sources indicate he offered little consideration for how it would affect his castmates or the show's final season, focusing entirely on his movie opportunities. The most revealing aspect came from interviews where Grace seemed dismissive of the show that made him famous, suggesting he'd outgrown it rather than expressing gratitude. Cast member Wilmer Valderrama later hinted at tensions, noting that some people forgot where they came from when success arrived. Grace's subsequent film career failed to reach the heights he apparently anticipated, with most of his starring vehicles underperforming, which made his departure seem premature and his attitude toward the show appear ungrateful. When the cast reunited years later for That 90s Show, the dynamics and some members' comments suggested that Grace's departure remained a sensitive topic. McLean Stevenson's Mass H miscalculation. McLean Stevenson's decision to leave MASH after 3 seasons, driven by his belief that he deserved to be the show's star rather than part of an ensemble, became one of television's most infamous career blunders. According to producer Larry Gelbart, Stevenson felt overshadowed by Alan Alda's Hawkeye Pierce and wanted a show where he would be the unquestioned lead. When Stevenson announced his departure, sources indicate he did so with confidence that his character, Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake, was essential to the show's success and that his own talent would translate to stardom elsewhere. The producers made a bold decision to kill off his character in a shocking finale, which, according to cast members, Stevenson didn't see coming and reportedly felt blindsided by. What followed was a series of failed sitcoms, including The McLean Stevenson Show and Hello, Larry, none of which captured audiences, while MASH continued for 8 more seasons and became one of the most celebrated shows in television history. Stevenson later admitted his departure was a mistake, but colleagues suggested his initial arrogance about his own indispensability made the failure particularly painful. Isaiah Washington's Grey's Anatomy homophobic outburst. Isaiah Washington's behavior on Grey's Anatomy revealed arrogance that manifested as bigotry and an inability to accept consequences for his actions. According to reports from the set, Washington engaged in a physical altercation with Patrick Dempsey and used a homophobic slur in reference to cast member T.R. Knight during the incident. Rather than immediately apologizing and taking responsibility, Washington's initial response reportedly minimized the situation. The controversy exploded when Washington repeated the slur backstage at the Golden Globes while denying he'd ever said it, which cast members found both baffling and offensive. Knight, who had not been publicly out before the incident, felt forced to come out in response to the situation, which he later described as traumatic. What made Washington's behavior particularly arrogant was his apparent belief that his talent should shield him from consequences, with reports suggesting he was shocked when ABC decided not to renew his contract. Even years later, Washington's comments about the incident suggested a victim mentality rather than genuine remorse, claiming he'd been unfairly targeted while showing little understanding of how his actions had harmed colleagues. Valerie Harper's Valerie's Family Lawsuit. Valerie Harper's legal battle with the producers of her self-titled show, Valerie, revealed complex layers of arrogance on both sides, but Harper's conduct throughout the dispute alienated many in the industry. When contract negotiations broke down, Harper's demands reportedly included creative control that would have fundamentally changed the show's structure, along with a substantial salary increase. According to producers, Harper believed her name on the title made her indispensable and gave her leverage to demand unprecedented control. When negotiations failed, producers made the shocking decision to kill off Harper's character and continue the show as Valerie's Family, later renamed The Hogan Family. Harper responded with a lawsuit claiming wrongful termination, and her public comments about the situation painted her as a victim of greedy producers. However, industry insiders noted that Harper's inflexibility during negotiations and her apparent belief that the show couldn't survive without her demonstrated significant arrogance. The show's continued success for 6 more seasons without her, maintaining solid ratings with Sandy Duncan in the lead role, suggested Harper had overestimated her importance to the series. Charlie Sheen's anger management implosion. Charlie Sheen's behavior extended beyond 2.5 Men into his subsequent show, Anger Management, where he reportedly believed his star power entitled him to unprecedented control and flexibility. According to crew members on the FX series, Sheen would routinely show up late, demand script changes that made no sense for the show's continuity, and create an atmosphere where challenging his decisions meant risking your job. Production sources claim that Sheen insisted on a grueling schedule that involved shooting multiple episodes in rapid succession so he could take extended breaks, which exhausted the cast and crew while allowing him personal time. The show's declining quality in later seasons, with episodes feeling rushed and poorly written, allegedly stemmed from Sheen's unwillingness to put in the time necessary for quality television. When the show ended after its 100-episode order, which triggered a lucrative syndication deal, Sheen's public comments suggested he viewed the entire project as a financial transaction rather than a creative endeavor. Cast member Selma Blair, who reportedly complained about Sheen's behavior, was fired from the show in what many saw as retaliation for speaking up, which sent a chilling message about the power Sheen wielded over the production.